Archer here, and today I'm going to teach you one of the most beautiful taught songs called Cry Me a River. Now, the reason we're doing this is February the 27th, and it's the late great and very great Dexter Gordon's birthday, February 27th. So this is one of the many songs that Dexter covered in his own inimitable way, as well as things like As Time Goes By, a beautiful version of that, Don't Explain by Billie Holiday, beautiful version of that. And my all-time favourite, I'm a Fool to Want You, which absolutely his version of that is stunning, absolutely stunning, with a solo from Freddie Hubbard in the middle, which is so check that one out too. So we're going to do Cry Me a River. Now, Cry Me a River is a popular American taught song written by a chap called Arthur Hamilton in 1953 for a film called Pete Kelly's Blues. It was dropped from the film, unbelievably. Obviously it didn't fit, and he gave it to his friend called Julie London. Now, Julie London had this stunning voice, which she describes. She's self-effacing in the way she sings it, but what a voice. She says, only a thimbleful of a voice, but it kind of sounds over-smoked and automatically sounds intimate. Well, over-smoked, that's food and drink to a saxophone player when you're trying to get that smoky sound. It's a perfect fit, and it became her signature song. It's one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard, expressing heartache, and it came to my generation from Mary Wilson in the 80s, the lady with the big beehive hair. But it's a beautiful song. Recent version is a version by Michael Bublé, which is a bit overblown and lacks the intimacy that certainly this one. My final memory of this tune, which is deep, is that I once heard it being sung in French called Pleurer une rivière as well, so it's even been translated into the French language and sung in French as well. So we're going to learn Cry Me a River, which is a beautiful, expressive saxophone, well, a tune which can be done on the saxophone, of course. Point number 2. Dexter Gordon is one of the most powerful, fabulous characters that the saxophone world has ever known. A colossus of a man in stature and in saxophone tone. So to find out about him and many more amazing saxophone players, do go to Amazon and buy Sax Madmen, which I co-wrote with a very knowledgeable friend of mine called Tony Clark. Now, the idea of this book was a quick guide to different saxophone players. As Snake Davis said, this great book has an abundant style and oozes character, a must for all players and lovers of the saxophone. So if Snake said that, it must be a great book. Dexter first appeared to me, and the final thing before I go on, is there's a picture of Dexter from the book. Okay, so there's a picture of Dexter from the book, and the little write-up, and there's a story of Dexter with his rather large feet, saying, you know, my shoes may be dusty, but my soul is clean. But he was an amazing man. So it's a great book. Do buy it. It would go. It would open you up to many, many great saxophone players. So yeah, it's a good read. So plugged over. Okay. So Dexter first appeared to me in 1986 when I was living in France, in Toulouse, in an amazing French film called Autour de Minuit, or Around Midnight, which was directed by a guy called Bernard Tavernier. Beautiful film, absolutely beautiful film, and it mesmerised me and opened the world of music that I've been in ever since. As beautiful music as anything. Herbie Hancock was on piano, and they had the stellar musicians, and I went shot all sorts of people. Dexter described jazz. Jazz is living music. It's a music that since its beginning has expressed the feelings, the dreams, the hopes of the people. And I watched this movie, and I have once or twice a year with a glass of red wine. It's a very slow unfolding movie, but you see Dexter Gordon playing towards the end of his life, acting beautifully as well, amazing character, and a lot of Dexter is within his performance. I know they based the original idea on Lester Young, President Lester Young, who was one of the early pioneers of the saxophone, but there's a lot of Dexter within this film, so do check it out. Very slow, very gentle. His playing on it is fabulous as well, so check out Around Midnight, and that's how Dexter came into my life and has stayed in my life, certainly for the last 31 years of teaching and preceding that as well. So yeah, Dexter Gordon, do check him out. Amazing saxophone player. Point 3. Now, we're going to focus on the song Cry Me a River, this beautiful song. And again, this is another one where you need to know it to own it. As Dexter said himself, and this is where this great, amazing insight came from, when you know the lyrics to a tune, you have some kind of insight into its composition. If you don't understand what it's about, you are depriving yourself of being able to communicate this poem. So, as saxophonists, we're singers, and this has been my biggest sort of message always. We sing through this instrument, and that's why everyone sounds different. No one sounds the same on the sax. We all sing with a different voice, which is wonderful, which is one of the greatest things of Adolf. Dear Lord, bless Adolf, created on this amazing instrument. So, know the words, have the feeling, Okay, and find that emotive feeling in whatever piece you're playing, whether it's joyous, whether it's melancholy, have that feeling. Okay, so dig deep and think about that. Point 4. This song is in G sharp minor for alto. It's also in the G sharp minor blues, where it brings the D of the blue note in. It's also in the G sharp minor harmonic minor, where it brings the G in. So it brings in 2 very juicy notes, which really gives it that jazzy feeling. And likewise on the tenor, it's in C sharp minor. It's also in C sharp minor blues, and also in the C sharp harmonic minor. So the C comes in there and the G comes in for the blue note. So it's really beautiful. 4 and 5 sharps, so it can be technically quite tricky. So prep the fingers before you get into the G. Point 5. Note that in the 3rd phrase, they bring in both the blue note and the harmonic 7th. It's absolutely sublime. So it does this. So the C is the harmonic note, so it gives it that flavouring, and the G is the blue note. Absolutely beautiful. So note the cleverness of putting those 2 very tasty notes adjacent to each other. Point 6. The middle 8 has some tricky moments in. Okay, on the alto and on the tenor. The alto I'm going to look at in a minute. On the tenor, it goes from D sharp to C sharp to D sharp to C sharp. So you have to keep your fingers really close to the keys. So really get your technique, really think about your technique, keeping your fingers as close to the keys as possible. Okay, but that's all part of what gives this tune the expression, the key it's in. So look at that little technical part as well. The alto sax, the opening phrase, this is really important to remember. You go D sharp, C sharp. When you land on the G sharp, remember all these keys play you G sharp. So if you land on the G sharp and actually hang the left hand, little pinky, on the bottom C sharp, that's dealt with. Then you play the E, then you play the D sharp, then you slide down using the rollers, but your left hand is already in place. So that's how to make this opening phrase a heck of a lot easier. So you're not moving your left hand little fingers. How easy is that in comparison? So remember that. All those petrol keys play G sharp, land on that key. The other thing is when you're playing the middle 8, there's lots of B flat Bs. Again, play them however you want to play them. You can slide up, but remember when you're ever sliding down, first finger, second finger, the right hand. So you're in G sharp minor, work on the G sharp minor first with the 5 sharps. Also work on the blues, which has got the D in, and work on the harmonic minor, which has got the G in. So really prep the fingers on the alto. But equally, the opening phrase, you can make it super easy on yourself and make sure your bottom C sharp is in play. When you're playing that note, make it as rich as possible. Point 7. To really make this tune work, you have to put some expression into it. And we've all had heartache in whatever capacity. So find that bit of heartache and then transmit that through your sax. That's what makes the saxophone such a powerful and emotive instrument that moves people, that takes people somewhere. It should have the same power as hearing the singing voice. So when you're playing this, that's what the great performers, the great musicians do, is they dig deep and they find that inner feeling and then transmit it, and the sax transmits it straight through the instrument. So find that feeling and have to dig a little deeper. Hence why, as Dexter quite beautifully put, you have to know the lyrics to a tune. Point number 8. To conclude, Cry Me a River is a fantastic piece of music, and many years ago I took 60 odd students to London to the Jazz Cafe in Camden Town to watch Lou Donaldson play. Now Lou's another magnificent saxophone player, an alto sax player, the master of the boogaloo, and a real blowout sax stalwart, fantastic saxophone player. And I saw him twice. The second time, like I say, with my students, and the second time, as the first time, he stood there and played a solo piece, and he played Cry Me a River, and it totally works as a solo piece. beautiful, beautiful piece of music as well. So take your time to try and learn as a solo piece, as well as playing along with Julie London's smoking voice or oversmoked voice, and then try and play it on a backing track as well. Do check out Dexter's version of it, which is magnificent. It's in a different key from the original, but it's magnificent as well, and the reason that we're doing this tune today. So really enjoy playing this piece of music and keep enjoying playing your saxophone. I hope to see you again soon on the Blowout Sax channel.